Imagine a vast, open pasture where multiple herders graze their cattle. This shared resource, known as the commons, is accessible to all, yet its overuse leads to its degradation. Hardin's analogy illustrates how common pool resources goods that are non-excludable yet rivalrous are susceptible to exploitation. Without regulation or ownership, these resources are vulnerable to overconsumption, as individuals act in their self-interest, leading to collective harm. This concept is evident in various real-world scenarios, such as overfishing, deforestation, and pollution, where shared resources are depleted due to lack of oversight. Individual rationality versus collective irrationality. Each herder, seeking to maximize personal gain, adds more cattle to the commons. While this benefits the individual, the negative effects overgrazing and resource depletion are shared among all. This paradox highlights the conflict between individual rationality and collective irrationality. Hardin's theory suggests that when individuals act independently and rationally, pursuing their own self-interest, they can collectively deplete a shared limited resource, even when it is clear that it is not in anyone's long-term interest for this to happen. This dilemma underscores the challenges in managing shared resources effectively. Historical context and origin. Hardin's 1968 essay brought this concept to the forefront, emphasizing the inevitability of overuse in the absence of regulation. However, critiques of Hardin's theory suggest that the tragedy is not inevitable, and that communities can develop self-regulation mechanisms to manage shared resources sustainably. Population growth and resource depletion. As populations grow, the demand for shared resources intensifies. Without checks, this leads to overconsumption. Hardin extended this idea, suggesting that Earth's resources can't sustain unlimited population growth, warning of potential ecological disasters if unchecked. The strain on resources due to population growth is evident in various environmental crises, such as water scarcity, deforestation, and loss of biodiversity. Sustainable development practices and population control measures are essential to mitigate the adverse effects of overpopulation on shared resources. The logic of the commons. Consider the herders again. Each adds cattle, seeking personal gain. The immediate benefit is theirs, but the cost of overgrazing is shared. This scenario exemplifies the tragedy, where individual incentives lead to collective harm, resulting in the loss of the resource everyone depends on. Hardin's model illustrates how the pursuit of individual interests, when unchecked, can lead to the degradation of shared resources. This logic applies to various global issues, including climate change, overfishing, and deforestation, where collective action is necessary to prevent resource depletion. Economic implications. The commons dilemma isn't just theoretical, it has real-world economic impacts. Overfishing, for instance, occurs when fishermen, acting in their self-interest, deplete fish stocks, leading to economic losses for all. Similarly, unregulated logging and mining can lead to resource depletion, affecting industries and communities dependent on these resources. Hardin's theory underscores the importance of regulation and collective action in managing shared resources to prevent economic losses and ensure sustainability. Economic policies that promote sustainable practices and equitable resource distribution are crucial in addressing the challenges posed by the tragedy of the commons. Ethical considerations. This scenario raises ethical questions. Do individuals have the right to exploit shared resources for personal gain? At what point does personal freedom infringe upon the rights of others? The balance between individual rights and collective responsibility is delicate and complex. Hardin's theory suggests that without mutual coercion, individuals may act in ways that harm the collective good. Ethical frameworks that emphasize communal well-being and shared responsibility are essential in guiding decisions related to the use of common resources. These frameworks can help navigate the tensions between individual freedoms and collective obligations. Potential solutions. Addressing the tragedy requires solutions like privatization, government regulation, or community-based management. Nobel laureate Elinor Ostrom demonstrated that communities could self-organize to manage resources sustainably without external interventions, challenging Hardin's pessimistic view. Ostrom's work highlights the potential for local governance structures to develop rules and norms that promote sustainable resource use. Her research emphasizes the importance of community involvement, trust, and adaptive management in overcoming the tragedy of the commons. These insights offer valuable lessons for contemporary resource management challenges, critiques, and alternative perspectives. While Hardin's theory highlights real issues, it's not without criticism. Some argue that it oversimplifies human behavior and underestimates our capacity for cooperation. Critics suggest that the tragedy of the commons is not inevitable, and that communities can develop self-regulation mechanisms to manage shared resources sustainably. Empirical studies have shown that, with proper governance structures, communities can effectively manage common pool resources without external intervention. These critiques emphasize the need for nuanced approaches that consider the complexities of human behavior and the potential for cooperative solutions. Modern applications. Today, the tragedy is evident in climate change, deforestation, and pollution. Global commons, like the atmosphere, are being degraded, affecting everyone. Recognizing this can drive collective action toward sustainable solutions. The depletion of shared resources due to individual actions is a pressing concern in the modern world. Addressing these challenges requires coordinated efforts at local, national, and global levels to implement policies and practices that promote sustainable resource use and environmental stewardship. Policy implications. Policymakers face the challenge of designing regulations that prevent resource overuse without infringing on individual freedoms. Strategies include setting quotas, creating protected areas, and promoting sustainable practices. Effective policy interventions require balancing the needs of individuals with the collective good. Collaborative approaches that involve stakeholders in decision-making processes can enhance the effectiveness of policies aimed at managing shared resources. Policymakers must consider the social, economic, and environmental impacts of their decisions to ensure equitable and sustainable outcomes. As the global population grows and resources become scarcer, the potential for tragedy increases. However, through innovation, cooperation, and sustainable practices, there's hope for a future where shared resources are preserved for all. The future of the commons depends on our ability to adapt and implement strategies that promote responsible resource use. Embracing principles of equity, sustainability, and collective responsibility can pave the way for a more harmonious relationship with our shared environment. The choices we make today will shape the legacy we leave for future generations.